Look, I know a very good investment opportunity. If you want to make a nice return on your money, let me know. You can make maybe 20 to 30% a month. Wow, that sounds great. What do you want me to do? All you have to do is give me the money and then you don't have to worry about anything. Okay, there you go. You are really buddy. Thanks a lot. Great. Do you know anybody who wants to appreciate money too? Give me his number. I guess this is what a conversation between a scammer and a gullible investor might look like. A tempting return, ideally with no work, quick money and most importantly trust. You can probably imagine how it ends. There have been thousands of similar stories throughout history, and what's the result? People still believe in miracles and still lose huge sums in investments and guaranteed dreams. Welcome to Invest with Jiri. Today we are going to take a look at a type of scam named after its inventor, Ponzi. I'll explain the basic principle, the history of the Ponzi scheme, the tempting promises that should alert you to the Ponzi scheme, and I'll also mention a few examples from today that use the Ponzi scheme. Give the subscription and the bell, sit back and let's get started. A Ponzi scheme is a type of fraud that gets its name from Charles Ponzi. This fraud scheme is based on promises of high returns and is founded by new deposits that are used to pay off older investors. The Ponzi scheme is based on the constant recruitment of new investors to keep the system going. Who was Mr. Ponzi? Charles Ponzi, originally named Carlo Pietro Giovanni Guglielmo Teobaldo Ponzi, was born in 1882 in Italy. Prior to his fraudulent business, he was engaged in various activities, including working as a traveling salesman. He immigrated to the United States in 1903. In 1919, Ponzi began his fraudulent activities in Boston. His plan was to buy international postal reply coupons and sell them with the promise of incredible profits in the US. He claimed that he could guarantee a profit of 50% in 90 days. This promise was unrealistic and the profits he actually generated came only from new deposits. The Ponzi scheme quickly spread and gained popularity among investors. People trusted him and pushed to leave their savings to him. However, the Ponzi scheme could not last forever. His scheme collapsed in August 1920 when journalists and financial analysts began to put pressure on his company. Ponzi scheme is a financial crime. Yes, it causes financial losses and destroys confidence in the financial system. In many cases, thousands of people who believe in the possibility of getting rich quick are affected by this scam. Fraud of this kind is punishable by law and those guilty can face long prison sentences. Ponzi schemes have become a cautionary tale for investors to be wary of unrealistic promises of high returns. If the promised profits look unrealistic, run away quickly. Ponzi was charged with fraud and given a prison sentence. After his release from prison, he attempted several more similar scams, but was eventually convicted again for fraudulent activities related to stock sales. After spending more years in prison, he was eventually deported back to Italy. What Ponzi scheme scams are we familiar with today? Bernard Madoff was an American financier and former chairman of the stockbroker Nasdaq. He is best known as the main perpetrator of one of the largest financial frauds in the history, known as the Madoff pyramid scheme. Madoff founded an investment company called Bernard L. Madoff Investment Securities LLC. The company promised steady high returns to investors. In reality, however, Madoff was running a scam in which he used new investors' money to pay out profits to old investors while falsely representing high profits and stable performance. This scheme worked for many years. Bernard Madoff's fraud was exposed during the financial crisis. In 2008, when many investors demanded to withdraw their money and Madoff did not have sufficient funds to pay them out, in December 2008, Madoff pleaded guilty and was arrested. In 2009, he was sentenced to 150 years in prison for his fraud, which caused a loss of more than $65 billion. Stanford was an American businessman and financial magnate. He was born on March 20, 1950 in Texas, USA and died in prison on June 6, 2023. Stanford was best known as the founder and chairman of Stanford Financial Group, which specialized in investments and banking. Stanford became famous for his involvement in a financial fraud known as the Stanford Pyramid Scheme. In his business, he promised incredibly high returns to investors through his company Stanford International Bank, which was based on the island of Antigua. In reality, however, Stanford was running a scam, using new investors' money to pay out to old investors. This scheme was similar to a Ponzi scheme. The total losses associated with his fraud were estimated at over $7 billion. Alan Stanford has been charged with numerous crimes including fraud, money laundering and violations of federal law. In 2012, he was found guilty and sentenced to 110 years in prison. During his incarceration, his health deteriorated and he died in prison. Another story is related to the cryptocurrency OneCoin, which has been presented as a revolutionary digital currency. It was founded in 2014 by Bulgarian entrepreneur Ruja Ignatova. She claimed with her team that OneCoin was better than Bitcoin and promised high profits to investors. They claimed that OneCoin was based on blockchain technology, but in reality it was a pyramid scheme that had no real value or technological basis. OneCoin did not provide a public blockchain network and thus there was no way to independently verify transactions. The OneCoin fraud has become one of the largest financial frauds in history. Ignatova and her team successfully raised huge amounts of money from investors around the world, claiming that investing in OneCoin would lead to huge profits. Ignatova personally spoke at events and conferences where she lured many people to invest in this cryptocurrency. However, in 2017, doubts and complaints about OneCoin began to emerge. Regulatory authorities in many countries warned against investing in this cryptocurrency and labeled it as a fraudulent scheme. In 2017, Ruja Ignatova was charged by the US federal authorities with fraud, money laundering and other crimes. However, Ruja Ignatova disappeared in 2017 and since then her fate has been unknown. And that's all for today. Thanks so much for watching the video and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great time and don't fall for the scammers with tempting get-rich-quick offers.